Aldous Huxley wrote those words in 1958. He was warning us about something most men still don't see coming. You think you're getting more freedom, more sexual options, more pleasure, more choice. But what if it's all a trade? What if every new pleasure app, every dating platform, every hookup, every instant gratification hit is actually replacing something far more valuable? What if your freedom isn't being expanded, it's being replaced? And the most twisted part is you're begging for more. In 1932, Aldous Huxley wrote a novel that was actually a prophecy. Brave New World showed a future where people wouldn't be controlled by fear, but by pleasure, where the strongest chains wouldn't be made of iron, but of satisfaction. He saw a world where men would trade their empires for 5 minutes of pleasure, where comfort would become the most seductive prison, where people would love their servitude so much they'd attack anyone trying to free them. Sound familiar? Look around you right now. How many men do you know who are building empires, who are creating legacies, who have genuine purpose beyond the next dopamine hit? Not many, right? That's not coincidence. That's design. Huxley warned us that the most efficient totalitarian state would be one where people don't need to be coerced because they love their slavery, they crave it, they pay for it. And brother, we're living in that world right now, but it's even darker than you think. You wake up and reach for your phone, instant hit. You scroll through social media, another hit. You swipe through dating apps, more validation. You watch porn, maximum stimulation. By 9 a.m., you've consumed more dopamine than your ancestors got in a week. And you call this freedom. But ask yourself, when did you last build something meaningful? When did you choose discomfort because it served a greater purpose? When did you delay gratification for something that actually mattered? Can't remember? That's the trap. Modern men have become addicted to the neurochemical cocktail of instant pleasure. Hookups, porn, likes, validations. These have become the new gods. And just like any addict, you need more and more to feel normal. But here's what they don't tell you. Every hit makes you weaker. Every instant gratification choice trains your brain to avoid anything difficult. Every pleasure-seeking moment pulls you further from your actual potential. You think you're free because you can access unlimited pleasure, but you're actually enslaved to whatever stimulation is available. You're not choosing your path, your cravings are, and that's exactly how they want it. Huxley understood something most men still don't. Pleasure doesn't energize you, it sedates you. In Brave New World, citizens took Soma whenever they felt uncomfortable, challenged, or restless. It made them happy, compliant, and completely unable to grow. Today's Soma comes in different forms. OnlyFans when you're lonely, dating apps when you need validation, social media when you're bored, streaming when you should be building. Each hit feels good in the moment. But what's the cumulative effect? You stop being hungry for real achievement. You stop craving genuine challenge. You stop building towards something meaningful. Because why struggle when pleasure is instant? This is the sedation effect. You think you're enjoying life, but you're actually medicating yourself against it. You're numbing the very discomfort that would push you to grow. Men once built empires because they couldn't stand staying small. Now they scroll through other people's achievements because building their own feels too hard. The system loves this because sedated men don't rebel, they don't innovate, they don't threaten the status quo. They just consume whatever's offered and ask for more. You're not free if your craving makes the decisions. Here's a question that might sting. When did your self-worth become dependent on how many women want you? This isn't about natural attraction or healthy relationships. This is about something darker. Modern culture has turned feminine approval into a drug. And just like any drug, it's destroying the men who chase it. Think about it. You post on social media and wait for likes. You swipe on dating apps hoping for matches. You change your behavior based on what gets positive female attention. Your mood depends on whether women validate your existence. But here's what Huxley saw coming. When your worth comes from external validation, you become controllable, predictable, weak. A man whose confidence depends on others' opinions isn't confident at all. He's desperate, and desperate men make terrible decisions. They sacrifice their long-term goals for short-term approval. They compromise their values to be liked. They trade their authentic selves for whatever version gets rewarded. Real masculinity demands restraint, not reaction. It requires building worth from the inside out, not collecting it from others. But that's hard work, and the system offers you an easier path. Just keep chasing validation and pretend it's the same thing. It's not, and deep down, you know it. Your ancestors conquered territories, built civilizations, created legacies that lasted centuries. They chose difficult paths because easy ones led nowhere meaningful. But something shifted. We stopped being conquerors and became consumers. We stopped asking, "What can I build?" and started asking, "What can I buy?" Modern comfort has become the enemy of masculine growth. Why struggle when Netflix is available? Why build something when you can order it? Why face difficulty when pleasure is instant? Huxley predicted this. He knew that a society offering unlimited comfort would create unlimited weakness, because strength only comes through resistance. Character only develops through challenge. Greatness only emerges when comfort isn't an option, but the system needs you weak. Strong men are dangerous. They build their own solutions. They don't need external validation. They create value instead of just consuming it. So comfort becomes a weapon, not obvious oppression, but seductive weakness. Not chains, but silk scarves that feel so good you forget they're binding you. You'd rather scroll and pleasure yourself than struggle and grow. And every day you make that choice, you get smaller. Comfort is the most seductive prison. You never see the bars. Here's a brutal truth. Men sacrifice their future empires for 5 minutes of pleasure. This isn't moral judgment. This is strategic reality. Every moment you spend chasing instant sexual pleasure is a moment stolen from building something that lasts. Think about the most successful men in history. What did they have in common? They could delay gratification. They could channel their sexual energy into creative energy. They could say no to immediate pleasure for long-term power. But modern culture has weaponized male sexuality against male achievement. Unlimited porn makes you weak and distracted. Hookup culture drains your energy and clarity. The constant chase for sexual validation keeps you scattered and desperate. You think you're getting more, but you're actually losing everything. Because while you're chasing the next hit, other men are building something valuable. Huxley knew that sexual freedom without discipline becomes sexual slavery. That unlimited pleasure becomes unlimited weakness. That the man who can't control his desires will be controlled by them. Your ancestors understood this. They built families, businesses, legacies. They created things that mattered. What are you creating, or are you just consuming what others built while you were distracted? Here's what they don't want you to know. Your pleasure is their profit. Every app on your phone is designed to capture your attention and sell it. Every platform profits from your distraction. Every system benefits from your weakness. Dating apps aren't designed to help you find love. That would put them out of business. They're designed to keep you swiping, hoping, paying. Porn isn't entertainment. It's addiction designed to keep you coming back. Social media isn't connection. It's validation addiction that keeps you scrolling. You're being farmed for attention, and you're paying for the privilege. Huxley called this the perfect drug that keeps people happy, compliant, and controllable. Today's drug is digital. It's in your pocket, and it's destroying your capacity to build anything real. But here's the genius of modern control. It doesn't feel like control. It feels like freedom. You think you're choosing your entertainment, your pleasure, your distraction. But in reality, algorithms are choosing for you based on what keeps you engaged, what makes you dependent, what profits them most. You're not the customer, you're the product. And the product is your attention, your energy, your potential, sold to the highest bidder while you get the scraps of instant gratification. Pleasure is the new prison, no chains, just dopamine. You're locked in comfort. Huxley's citizens took Soma whenever reality became uncomfortable. Today, many men use women the same way. Feeling insecure? Swipe for validation. Feeling purposeless? Chase sexual conquest. Feeling weak? Seek feminine approval to feel strong. But this isn't about women. This is about you using relationships as medication instead of building genuine strength. It's about treating intimacy as consumption instead of creation. The result? You become addicted to the feeling women give you instead of building the man you actually are. You need their approval to feel good about yourself. You depend on their attention to feel valuable. You crave their validation to feel worthy. That's not strength. That's dependency. Independent men are easily controlled. Real masculine energy doesn't need constant validation. It doesn't require external approval. It doesn't chase women to feel powerful. It becomes powerful and naturally attracts them. But that requires work, internal work, character development, skill building, purpose creation, all things that can't be swiped, clicked, or instantly downloaded. So the system offers you a shortcut. Just keep chasing validation and pretend it's the same as building value. Keep seeking approval and call it confidence. Keep consuming femininity and call it masculinity. It's not, but you aren't ready to accept it. When was the last time you went a full day without seeking external validation? Without checking for likes, matches, messages, approval? Can't remember? That's the problem. Real leaders don't need constant feedback. They don't require approval to make decisions. They don't seek permission to be powerful. They build value and let the world react. But modern culture has turned men into permanent approval seekers. Always needing, never leading. Always consuming, never creating. Always reacting, never initiating. You scroll through other people's success instead of building your own. You watch other people's adventures instead of creating your own. You consume other people's content instead of developing your own thoughts. This is psychological slavery. You're not living your life, you're spectating others live theirs while you collect digital scraps of borrowed meaning. Huxley said that entertainment could become a substitute for achievement, that spectatorship could replace participation, that men would choose to be entertained rather than become entertaining. The question is, are you building something worth watching, or are you just watching others build? Every man has an inner kingdom, a realm of thoughts, values, principles, dreams, and potential that belongs to him alone. This kingdom is where real strength develops, where character forms, where purpose crystallizes, but pleasure-seeking destroys inner kingdoms. Because when everything is external, validation, stimulation, gratification, nothing internal develops. You become hollow, a shell with no substance, a consumer with no creation. Your inner kingdom is collapsing because you've crowned pleasure as king. And pleasure is a terrible ruler. It only cares about the next hit, never about building something lasting, never about developing character, never about creating legacy. Men who avoid pain avoid growth, because growth requires discomfort. Character requires challenge. Strength requires resistance. All things that pleasure-seeking avoids. But here's what they don't want you to know. Men who master their inner kingdoms become ungovernable. They don't need external validation. They don't crave constant stimulation. They don't depend on others for their sense of worth. That's why the system works so hard to destroy your inner kingdom. Not through force, but through distraction. Not through oppression, but through entertainment. Not through chains, but through comfort. Every moment you choose external pleasure over internal development, your kingdom gets weaker, and eventually there's nothing left to rule. Huxley understood something most men have forgotten. True freedom isn't getting everything you want. It's mastering what you want. The man who can delay gratification has power over the man who cannot. The man who can say no to immediate pleasure for long-term gain has leverage over everyone else. The man who has built genuine confidence doesn't need external validation to feel confident. This is why disciplined men terrify the modern world. They're ungovernable. You can't control them with pleasure because they've learned to control themselves. You can't manipulate them with comfort because they've chosen difficulty. You can't seduce them with instant gratification because they're building for eternity. Inner mastery means you choose your responses instead of being controlled by your reactions. You decide when to act instead of being driven by impulse. You build your worth from the inside instead of collecting it from others. But this requires something the system can't sell you: discipline. The willingness to choose discomfort when it serves your purpose. The strength to delay gratification for something greater. The courage to build slowly instead of consuming quickly. Most men won't do this. It's too hard. The alternative, endless pleasure-seeking, feels so much easier, so they stay slaves to their cravings and call it freedom. But you're different. You're here. You're listening. You're questioning. That means something in you is awakening. So how do you escape? How do you break free from a system designed to use your own desires against you? First, recognize the trap. Understand that in a world where pleasure is weaponized, discipline becomes rebellion. In a culture that profits from your distraction, focus becomes revolutionary. In a system that needs your dependency, self-reliance becomes dangerous. Second, start building instead of consuming. Create something with your hands instead of scrolling with your fingers. Develop a skill instead of collecting entertainment. Build a body instead of watching others perform. Third, practice delayed gratification. Choose discomfort when it serves your purpose. Say no to immediate pleasure for long-term power. Build strength through resistance, not avoidance. Fourth, develop internal validation. Stop measuring your worth by external metrics. Stop seeking approval from others. Start building genuine competence that creates real confidence. This isn't easy. The entire culture will resist you. Your conditioned desires will fight you. Your programmed habits will pull you back toward comfortable slavery. But every small choice builds strength. Every moment of discipline creates freedom. Every act of self-mastery moves you closer to becoming ungovernable. And that's what they fear most. The brave new world isn't coming. It's here. In your pocket, on your screen, in your comfortable habits and pleasant addictions. You can see it now, can't you? The sophisticated control system that uses pleasure as chains. The cultural programming that turns strength into weakness. The digital Soma that keeps you sedated and compliant. The question is, what will you do about it? You have two paths in front of you. Path 1, stay in the pleasure prison. Keep chasing dopamine hits. Keep seeking external validation. Keep choosing comfort over challenge. Keep consuming instead of creating. The system will support you every step of the way. You'll be entertained, stimulated, and pleasured until the day you die. But you'll never be free. You'll never build anything real. You'll never become the man you were meant to be. Path 2, choose difficult freedom. Start building instead of consuming. Develop internal strength instead of seeking external validation. Create something meaningful instead of just scrolling through others' achievements. This path is harder. You'll face resistance from the culture, from your conditioning, from your own programmed desires. But on the other side lies something the pleasure prison can never provide: genuine self-respect, earned confidence, real purpose, and the unshakable strength that comes from mastering yourself. Most men will choose path one. It's easier, more comfortable, more socially acceptable. But you're not most men. You're here. You've seen through the illusion. You understand the trap. The question is, are you brave enough to walk away from comfortable slavery and choose difficult freedom? Aldous Huxley's theories scream: the most dangerous prison is one where the inmates love their cells. Modern men don't just accept their chains, they fight for them. They defend their distractions. They justify their weaknesses. They attack anyone who suggests they might be trapped. Because admitting you're in a prison means admitting you have to do something about it. And doing something about it is hard, uncomfortable, uncertain. But here's the truth. You're not free if your craving makes the decisions. You're not powerful if you need constant validation. You're not living if you're just consuming what others created. The door's open. It's always been open. But most men never even look for it because the prison is so comfortable, so entertaining, so pleasurable. Don't be most men. The world needs men who choose discipline over desire, men who build instead of consume, men who create instead of just scroll, men who master themselves instead of being mastered by their cravings. The question is, will you be one of them? Your future self is watching. Choose wisely, because once you see the prison, you can never unsee it. And once you taste real freedom, you can never go back to loving your chains. The brave new world is here, but so are you. And that makes all the difference.